Today on Football Manager Moneyball, it's time to take away the emphasis on physicality and focus instead on flair and technique. Because instead of literal giants of the game, my focus will be on flair, technique, and I can't sign anybody over 176 centimetres. That's 5'9" for all you English folk. So this is the challenge. We've got to build a squad with that maximum height, so no players above that, and really focusing on flair, technical, first touch, those type of players. So basically it's the exact opposite of this video we did with Telstar, where we focused on absolute giants and playing long ball football, which brings me to the team we will use. And I wanted a team that was kind of infamous for playing pretty dark football, and the club we will be using is in Spain, La Liga and Getafe. And this did come from your suggestions, and it's easy to see why. Direct and tactical approach to the game. You can see there the analyst has gone through tactical discipline, hard work, strong collective ethic, intensity, physicality, basically everything that we will not be doing. It's even integrated into the club vision as far as supporters are concerned. They expect defensive football, counter-attacking football, direct, set pieces. We've got a big job on to change their perspective. And when you get to the squad, you can see it's been built with this physical approach in mind, with a load of the players, well, they're just basically really tall. In fact, with the restrictions I'm setting on myself, there's only a handful of players currently at the squad that could have a future with us. So here's the goal for season 1. Ship out the players that are too tall. As simple as that, and get a load of players in, 176 centimetres, 5'9" or under. And we've got to be ruthless, so that means over half the squad are immediately transfer listed. So the taller, more physical players are all transfer listed, and this is where this style of save is interesting, because season 1 we kind of go old school because we don't have data to work off. So I'm just going to look for players the old school way, with the maximum height is at most 176. I'm just going to go position by position till I find some players to bulk out this squad for season 1. And I've doubled down by creating a recruitment focus. So my scouts are also on the job now, and the only thing they are looking for his height is at most 176, and already they're throwing up some interesting options. So then I need to think about how I want my team to play. So we're not going to be playing hoofball, we're going to go inspired by Pep's old Barcelona team. So there is the Pep Barca tactic, but I have remixed it a bit, changed a couple of rules to make it even more expressive, such as a random trequartista, false 9 to drop off. There'll be movement everywhere, and they're going to play the ball, pass and move. To help that out, I've got really narrow width, so they're going to be all close together. Underlaps involved, playing out defence, shorter passing, and initially we're going to go attacking mentality. I'm probably going to have to make an away version because that is hella attacking. So using the player search in pre-season, I put a bid in for loads of players. They all had one thing in common, and that was obviously the height, but also they all needed to be good technique and have a decent amount of flair. So my scouts were working hard, bringing me suggestions from Europe, South America, even Russia. And the good thing about this sort of save, when you're ripping up an entire squad, it gives you a bit of a clean slate, so you can buy to the tactic that you've built. And that's what I did, bringing in a total of 14 players at a cost of 17.5 million, but I did recoup a load of money as well at 18.5. So the biggest outlay was Tommaso Baldanzi, who's cost me in and around 6 million. I've got him earmarked to play the false 9 role at 170 centimetres, but players came in from all over the place. I even got a loan deal for Thurman from Barcelona. I spent 2.8 on a right back in Carrera. I went to Africa for a goalkeeper. There was players from Chile. Seriously, players from all over the place joined the club, including 40-year-old Gal Clichy to act as backup at left back. Because when you're listing over half the squad, you just need to get bodies in before the season starts. So with the amount of players I brought in, I was able to field a full 11 of players under 176 centimetres. I guess the hardest positions to think about were defence. We're not going to be great in the air. Even the goalkeeper, Gil Alcala, well, he's only 176 centimetres, and I signed him from Mexican side Pumas. The most worrying position's probably going to be centre back. 2.5 million was spent on Casson Werjo from Feyenoord. Now, attribute-wise, he looks good, but you would class him as a defensive midfielder because he is 176 centimetres. He's going to be partnered by Samuel, a youngster I got from Man City. Unsurprisingly, there wasn't a lot of centre-backs at that height level. The full-backs look good though, they've got some good quality, and all the players have good technique. There was a couple of players already at the club that fit the remit, Munoz, Aram Barry and Wanmi, and somehow after a manic pre-season I've managed to get a squad together of 21. The season preview isn't kind. It's a tough league, La Liga, and we're down in 15th at 250 to 1. So I'm hopeful that squad will do a job till we can start signing players based on data, and I do have some filters ready. For example, this is one for a central midfielder, an attacking creative one. You can see I've got goals per 90 minutes, expected assists per 90 minutes, but I've also got open player key passes. I've got a whole range of these ready to go at the end of the season. Centre backs is obviously going to be the hardest one, but I went for progressive passes, so he's a bit of a ball player. Tackles, because he's still got to do a bit of a defensive job, and possession as well. So in pre-season, it gave me a chance to see how the team was looking, and it looks fluid with the two centre-backs not scared to travel with the ball, and as you can see, we've got a rake of options up front, with the false 9 dropping actually deeper than the midfielders, which is exactly what we wanted. Don't expect to see a lot of goals from crosses from this team. As you can see, the right back gets it there, but instead of crossing, he pulls it to a shorter pass. But overall, pre-season went well, and we're starting to produce the type of football that I wanted to see, with the full-backs getting really high, but always looking for the pass rather than the cross. Late in the transfer window, we got our biggest signing of the summer in Lucas Vazquez, formerly of Real Madrid. I'd also given myself an away formation as well, just slightly less aggressive with a wing back dropping back. And after all that prep and the basis on technique and flair, the first goal we scored of the season was from a corner. I mean, I couldn't help but laugh. We got a 2-0 win against Oviedo, but more impressive was the amount of shots we had and the possession as well. That's exactly what we're going for. Things were really looking good when we played Barcelona and scored a beautiful passing goal. That was a match we probably should have won, believe it or not. The season started pretty well, and this goal against Levante was a thing of beauty. I was loving the passing movements. But this is still a squad completely thrown together at the last minute, and there was some disappointing results as well. Despite the odd setback, the first half of the season overall was a huge success. Defying the odds and sitting 6th in the table behind a lot of La Liga's big boys. At the minute, Celta are our inspiration. Now here's a table that I'm actually really proud that we're bottom of. This is headers won. As you can see, Mallorca have won the most headers, and as we scroll on down, we find ourselves way behind, bottom of the table, with only 269 headers won the entire season. In terms of tackles won, we're down in 12th, but you can't get Getafe out of the team completely as we're sitting joint 9th in terms of fouls made. But attacking wise, we're looking good, and only Barca and Real Madrid have had more shots than us so far this season. Speaking of Barca, Hansi Flick recalled Firmin. He only played 10 games for us with 4 assists. He looked good, but because I didn't play him as an advanced playmaker, they recalled him. I hate that rule. Now they've only done it a couple of games ago, so I needed a new central midfielder. So I've tied up a deal for Marcelo Allende from South African football Sundowns FC. Now I've had him before, but I used him and signed him as a winger, but I'm going to play him as a central midfielder. You can see there he's had an elite time in South Africa. Obviously this will be a step up, but there is a new metric we look for as well. It's actually over here under this tab, and I'm looking for open play key passes, and I want them to be over 1.5 per match, and he's at 1.7, so I'm going to give him a go. And the other player I'm signing is a scout recommendation, and it's Youssef Demir. You can see why he's been recommended to us. He fits into our remit with his technique and flair. Add to that then player traits, which are pretty much absolutely ideal, including tries, tricks. Not getting a kick at Galatasaray, we've got him for 850,000, rising to 2 million. Now a combination of those two players will fit into that gap there. I've ended up using the away tactic, probably slightly more often than the home tactic. Now you see, it's been pretty much 50-50 for both tactics, and both of them are doing well. This one's a bit safer. To be fair, you can see that with our goalkeeper having 8 clean sheets, and he's actually performed really well, and he's fantastic with the ball at his feet. So when I'm looking at players on flair and technique, this data is great, but I need to look elsewhere as well. Play performance tab is great for this. Something like crosses, I don't want to see them high up because what's the point crossing the ball, and thankfully we're down here. It's much better to see them high up in terms of assisting, like Fofana is there. I want to see most of my team high up in terms of passing percentage. So mid-season in our first season, look, we have done massive overhaul of the squad, and the only goal was to survive. So far we're doing way better than I thought we would. And it's important to remember that I just got a load of those players in a panic job. I didn't really focus on flair, technique, first touch, which is what we could do going forward. So at the minute it looks like we've got a good base to build on. Second half of the season, well, up and down maybe a little bit. Yes, Barca beat us 6-1, but just 2 games later, we beat their city rivals 6-1 as well. There's a goal from Youssef Demir in this one, and he's settled into the club pretty well in central midfield. He's looked pretty good, he's not giving the ball away much, he's had a decent amount of assists, and his open play key passes are up there at 1.6, not a bad start for him. In terms of average rating, one of our better players was centre-back Kasim Verjo. And with this style of play and him being so short, we kind of rule out some of these metrics down here. Thankfully his tackles one's decent at 77%, but as a ball playing defender in this style of team, these in possession data results are pretty good. However, the overall star of the show was left back Larouci, who we signed from Troyes. Just a superb all-round performance. In this team I expect everybody to contribute on the ball, and he does that with dribbles and assists. As far as the season goes, we overcame a really dodgy spell here to finish the season fantastically with a 5-game undefeated stretch, which meant we finished in 8th position in season 1. Disappointing not to finish in Europe, but still a decent result. And yeah, we still finished bottom of headers won, and 17th in terms of tackles won. 10th place in terms of average possession. I would like to see that go up this season when we get into player recruitment. But 4th place in terms of shots for behind the big three. And if you look at the XG table, with a bit more luck, we could have finished even higher. Recruitment has already started for the new season with 3 free transfer signings lined up. Austrian Romano Schmidt will be coming in from Werder Bremen on a free transfer. Now, he played as an attacking midfield for Werder this season, and he is a goal threat, which is what we're looking for. Another midfielder is Alan Zeno. Of course, he's got great technique, flair, dribbling ability, but his open play key passes are good at 1.6. And the other thing to bear in mind is the board are not scared to give us a little bit of money, 25 million. And looking at the squad, these are the positions I've identified to send us to that next level. I'm happy with Baldanzi with 14 goals this season, but if needed, we can move him to a different position if we see another striker. And if you look at the overall squad now, we're about where we need to be, but I do still have some players to ship out who are being stubborn and holding on. But the assistant report does tell me the average height of my squad is exactly where I need it to be. Right, great overall first season. Now we can start cranking it up because the board have been pretty generous with the money, and now I can really focus on those killer attributes and the data to help me find the right players for this squad. So going into season 2, there was a slight curveball because our league position eventually got us into the Conference League. With an extra place going to the Champions League, Alaves by the way, we qualify for the Conference League. With extra fixtures meant I was going to have to do some serious work in the transfer market, and I started out by trimming the squad. I released giant goalkeeper David Soria, then I got money for some players that I didn't play at all last season, like 6'2" centre back Abkar. Arambi did fit the remit, but he wasn't technically good enough for me, so I've let him go to Sevilla. And $3.5 million for an aging Wanmi seemed like a good offer. There was also a rake of other players that left me, bringing in more money, and it's safe to say recruitment has hit overdrive. Problem position is always going to be centre back, so I've given myself a few options. The first will be John Aramburu, who comes in from Las Palmas. Now he's got a good record in defending, bear in mind that he played most of the season as a fullback, but for me he will be a centre back. From Estudiantes in Argentina, one of the biggest signings, Facundo Farias. Technique, flair, dribbling, all elite. Can play a number of positions, hasn't played much this season, but when he's played, what an impact he has made. Scouts absolutely love him, he looks absolutely perfect for us. Lots of other signings to bulk out the squad, but the standout is the £20 million signing of Sharundu Sambo. He's going to be for that problem position of centre back. Yes, I paid big money for him, but this is a problem position I need to lock down. And last season on loan at Sparta Rotterdam, he's had a great time. Again, he's probably played fullback, but that should translate pretty well into centre back. Also this season, I'm going to eye a bigger role for this man. This is Edward Chalufa, signed him from Scandinavia last season for $1 million. Didn't get many starts, but when I looked at his data, I probably should have because he's got great assist and he keeps the ball moving really well. Now this massive transfer movement has meant that I have achieved the first target of completely transforming the Getafe squad, and now all the players are under 5'9", 176 centimetres. And it also means we can crank it up in terms of the tactic. Not only do we have tactic 1 and tactic 2, but now we've got an even more expressive tactic 3, which brings in a libero, an extra playmaker, and 2 trequartistas. It's also worth noting in all 3 tactics that the 2 central midfielders do have a rake of player instructions to make them even more expressive. And now the average height of the squad is just 5'7". And you can probably guess some of the squad's weaknesses: heading, tackling, aerial reach, jumping reach, strength. Perfect. On the flip side, we are starting to excel in vision, technique, flair, agility, through balls, and creativity. So in pre-season, I did try that new tactic a couple of times. It looks interesting. Remember, Sambo is a libero on support, so when we've got the ball, he just bombs forward. Look at him, and he asks for it. Now he's into central midfield. So when going forward, there's going to be an absolute boatload of different options. The only thing is, because I've still got attacking wing backs, this guy, bless his heart, will be by himself, all by himself, whenever we've got the ball. Right, so we're ready for season 2. The squad's completely changed now. We're hitting that height limit, and more importantly, for the way we want to play, we're hitting that technique and flair goal as well. Shockingly, in the first game of the season, away at Real Madrid, we actually bagged an equaliser. However, late in the match, keep your eyes on Sambo in the middle. It's still 1-1 at this point, but that foul on Mbappe meant a red card. And 2 injury time goals win it for Real Madrid. Gutted. However, we responded fantastically in the next match, winning 5-2 against Eibar. And then a stunning victory away at Atletico Madrid. And we also stunned Barcelona. The big risk of signing Sambo proved to be the right one. He's winning an outrageous amount of tackles at 82%, and on the ball, fantastic. With Casanwerjo next to him, my dwarf centre-backs are actually doing really well. Also doing really well is new signing Facundo Farias. We had high hopes for him. Well, he's bagged 10 goals this season. He's more of a striker because he's playing as a trequartista, but he's doing a bit of everything. And putting faith in Edward Chalufai proved to be the right call. As the first half of the season has been pretty good, only a couple of defeats. We're currently sat in 7th position, and we're going pretty well in the Conference League as well. Of the 3 tactics, we've still used the first 2, not quite brave enough yet to use the third one. Okay, halfway point of the season, I mean, I can't argue with it, they are absolutely flying. Question is, do we try and push on this season and bring someone else in? There are some players who fit our remit that look really tempting, and will Hansi Flick actually let us have Furman this time? This time Hansi Flick let us have him. After the winter break in the Copa del Rey, I decided to experiment and use the more expressive tactic, and it looked pretty good with plenty of passes. I just need to pick and choose the games I'm going to use it. Then we doubled down on our midfield signings, signing Aslani from Inter Milan, coming to the end of his contract, costing just 650,000. A lot is the answer, fans, a lot. And then out of the blue, there was an interview with the former Getafe manager. And you know what? It was actually quite nice. I was really happy with the way things are going. We have completely transformed the way Getafe play. As we build from the back, everyone getting involved, short, sharp, passing, beautiful. And that's what I'm looking for from match day is the key pass column, and look at all these key passes coming in, including 4 from debutant Aslani. We got another thumping victory against Atletico. Simeone's in trouble, by the way. And we'd made it to the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey, getting a hard-fought victory over Las Palmas. I couldn't believe my eyes as Baldanzi scored a header, but we absolutely battered them. We just need to get more shots on target, please, boys. We're also in the quarter-finals of the Conference League. This season's going pretty nicely. In the league, however, we're sat 8th. We do have games in hand, but it's really frustrating for me. Because when we go to the XG table, are you ready for this? We could potentially have been top 3, which is the goal from this entire save. So I'm considering slotting in work ball into box. That's because we're 3rd in terms of shots for, 4th in terms of chances created, but don't worry, we are still rock bottom of headers won. Despite the outstanding efforts of our star centre-back Sambo, look at this, that looks like 20 million well spent, doesn't it? So we've got ourselves into the Copa del Rey final. That's unfortunately though against Real Madrid, that's to come. In the Conference League quarter final, we somehow managed to lose this match against AEK 3-1. As you can see from the match stats and match momentum, we blew that big time. We dominated the second leg again, and we managed to take it to extra time with this second goal on 70 minutes. But our old friends, headers against, cost us big time, as AEK steal it and knock us out of the quarterfinals. For the Copa del Rey final, I was missing both centre-backs, one suspended, one injured, and unfortunately we got absolutely murdered. Still, runner-up in the main cup in Spain is a pretty good achievement. So with both cups out of the way, it left us to concentrate on the league and try and crack this top 4. And in the second half of the season, we won more matches than we drew, only losing a couple, but we just missed out on top 4 by 1 measly point, finishing 5th. It'll be the Europa League next season for Getafe. What we've got now is a really good fluid team with big competition for places. My big worry is Saudi are looking at a lot of my players, most notably the 2 excellent centre-backs. We can't afford to lose them. Baldanzi scores 25 up front from false 9, that's outstanding. And he's had some good support backing him up as well. Question is, can this squad progress to qualify for that Champions League? We're going to give it one more shot, and to aid this, we've got 2 free transfer signings coming in. 2 youngsters, very exciting. Elias Achomash from Villarreal, he's a technique and flair machine. And Facundo Bonatti from the Premier League and Brighton. We managed to snap both of them up on free transfers, and there will be more to come. Although saying that, I'm not sure how I improved this team. So to change a club's entire philosophy within 2 seasons and get them on the brink of the Champions League, I could, in theory, call it a day there, but we're going to go one more time, get some more high technical players in, because we're so close and we've got a decent transfer budget. I'm also going to take inspiration from this 3rd tactic that I didn't really use a lot of, but bring some of the player roles into tactic 2, starting with a register in the DM role. Then a big surprise, as we enter pre-season for season 3, we've actually managed to completely change the board target culture. Check that out. They now want attacking football, possession football, entertaining football. We rounded out our transfer window with 2 more signings. Owen Vindal from Ajax for 10 million and Aladou Saidu from Lille for 8.5. Both great defensive cover. And now we've got a fantastic squad. The one position I found almost impossible to improve was goalkeeper. So I'm happy with Al Salah, no problem with him at all, but he's getting on 35. But even using old school player search, I was unable to find anyone anywhere near as good as him. Most of the players were just 17-year-old regens and they're nowhere near close. So I'm guessing that'll be the starting team for this season. We still have those players on the bench. We've got loads of options in central midfield and out wide. And we've started well, undefeated in the league, but there's a long way to go. But if we can keep this up and this up, we should do well. As we got to the halfway point of the season, things were looking good. The new players settling in, resulting in some top performances and some belting results. At the minute, we are right where we want to be, just behind the big two. The only slight disappointment has been the Europa League. For whatever reason, we seem to be struggling a bit in that, and we're just in the qualification area. Of the new players, Akhomash has looked probably the most impressive. 7 goals this season and a creative threat as well. Coming up with 2 open play key passes a match. Player of the season so far is record signing Sambo, single-handedly proving that you don't need to be a giant to be an elite central defender. And now when you look at the squad, I've highlighted first touch, technique and flair. Take the goalkeepers out of it, the squad is looking blooming good now. My only worry is Saudi Arabia are looming and the transfer window is now open. But we have the usual Achilles heel, we concede a ton from corners. However, on the flip side, the equaliser in that match is exactly how I want my team to play. They pass it around, they're patient, the defenders don't mind dribbling out a bit, but we always get the keeper involved as well. It's pass and move. I mean, look how many passes this is that I speed this up. But in the same match, we concede from a cross. That is always going to be the problem. And as expected, Saudi Arabia did come and try to wreck my squad, bidding for various players. So I went into the transfer market as well, and I've managed to get Victor Gomez from Braga. I reckon this is a big upgrade for right fullback. Thankfully, nobody else left us and we had a pretty decent second half of the season. Slightly disappointing to get knocked out of the round of 16 by Lille in the Europa League. A shocking defeat in the Copa del Rey, I won't lie. But in the league, we accomplished our goal, finishing above Atletico and becoming the best of the rest, in behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. Now, admittedly, they finished an absolute mile away. There's a long way to go to catch them too. But we're doing everything right in terms of chances created and shots for. And as far as headers won, yep, we're bottom. So I think we've done a pretty decent job in completely changing the way Getafe play. Even the board bought into it, well, except the set pieces, that just isn't us. Supporters, however, they still want their old school football back. Look at that.